Why is Raleigh, North Carolina growing insanely fast? You know, Raleigh didn't become one of the fastest growing markets in the country by accident, and the numbers show it. Last year, Wake County added 66 people a day, and prices are up around almost 70% in premium areas since 2019, and somehow it's still cheaper to live here than in Austin, Nashville, or Charlotte. You know, I've been in real estate for years, and today I'm breaking down how this market was built over 65 years ago and why getting in now matters before the next wave hits. Why Raleigh's growth is different? Well, here's the thing that really separates Raleigh from all those other so-called hot markets that you hear about. When the next recession hits, Raleigh doesn't fall apart. And here's why. One of the three big reasons that this area is a rock-solid investment is the $3 billion that our local universities spend on research here every single year. And that kind of money doesn't disappear just because a tech stop happens to dip. Raleigh's growth isn't random. It's built on long-range planning. It began way back in 1959. And at that time, North Carolina was struggling economically compared to the rest of the country. So today it ranks consistently among the nation's strongest economies. That change started with Research Triangle Park, which everyone here calls RTP. And that plan has been working for more than 65 years. It's still protecting home values in our area today. RTP was created in 1959 to bring in major companies here to North Carolina and reshape our state's economy. And it worked. Today it covers about 7,000 acres and supports over 55,000 jobs across more than 300 companies. We're talking about IBM, Cisco, Lenovo, GlaxoSmithKline, and Biogen. And these aren't companies that show up and disappear. They've been rooted here for decades. What really makes Raleigh different is the talent pipeline that has been established. Today we have over 5 major universities here, including NC State, Duke, UNC Chapel Hill, Meredith, and Peace University. These renowned schools are all feeding talent to this area nonstop. Together they spend over $3.6 billion a year on research. UNC Chapel Hill alone brought in $1.55 billion in 2024. Duke added about $1.5 billion, and that adds thousands of highly educated grads every single year. And a lot of them stay right here because the jobs are already waiting and the weather is great. This isn't a boom town chasing hype. It's a steady talent machine with not enough housing. Here's where this really matters. In the 2008 recession, Raleigh prices dipped about 6%. Phoenix dropped more than 50%, along with a lot of other markets. Raleigh still felt it, but it didn't fall apart. That's the difference those research dollars and long-term institutions make. This isn't a boom town. This is a talent factory with a housing shortage. Other cities grow fast because of trends or tax breaks. Raleigh grows because the universities are permanent and the companies keep on coming. That foundation to our local economy matters because schools bring the people, but the companies are what make those people stay and put down roots. Remember, if you're considering a move to Raleigh and you want someone who actually knows which neighborhoods are worth the money and which ones to avoid, I help relocating families make smart decisions in this market every single day. My contact information is in the description below, and don't be shocked if I actually answer my phone. The bottom line is that the economic engine that we've created are why jobs just keep coming. Jobs are where everything starts. Jobs come first, housing comes second, and that order is what protects your housing investment. Right now, Raleigh is pulling in some of the biggest corporate commitments in the Southeast. Let's start with Apple. In 2021, Apple announced a new campus at RTP with more than $1 billion in planned investment. Apple will add about 3,000 high-paying jobs. And yes, construction was paused and they got a 4-year extension in the late 25, but some people panicked when they heard that. But Apple is still leasing space and growing its headcount in North Carolina, so no worries here. And then you've got VinFast. They're building their first North American car plant in Chatham County, and that's a $4 billion project with plans for 7,500 jobs. Production is now pushed to 2028, but the project is still moving, and when that ramps up, it's going to reshape manufacturing in our region. Now here's where things really start to heat up, and that's life sciences. According to the North Carolina Biotechnology Center, North Carolina pulled in over $10.8 billion in life science investments in 2024, and that was the biggest year on record. You can see it happening all around the triangle. Novo Nordisk is putting in $4.1 billion into a major expansion in Clayton, and that alone brings about 1,000 jobs. So over in Holly Springs, Geniatech expanded their investment to about $2 billion and added more than 600 jobs. Fujifilm is right here too, adding another multi-billion-dollar bio-manufacturing site with hundreds of jobs. And then Amgen comes in with another investment and hundreds of jobs in Holly Springs. This is a wave of investment landing all at once, and it's already changing where people are moving and buying homes. So if you're wondering where people are actually buying and which neighborhoods make sense for each type of buyer, just drop me a line about yourself and I'm glad to respond. Now, what's happening is simple. Holly Springs is becoming a major biotech hotspot. Raleigh is just about 20 minutes from all the construction happening right now, and that's why housing demand is already showing up. And all of this sits on top of companies that have already been here for years. IBM has thousands of employees in the Triangle region. Lenovo employs about 5,000 people. Cisco runs a major campus with thousands of employees. Epic Games, the company behind Fortnite, is based in Cary with more than 3,000 employees in our area. And now RTP itself is changing. It's called RTP 3.0. For decades, RTP was just offices and labs, so you worked there and then you left. But now RTP 3.0 plan expands this famous Research Triangle Park to include housing, restaurants, and walkable mixed-use spaces across the 7,000-acre campus. And that means more people are going to live closer to where they already work, and that keeps housing demands right here in the Triangle. This is a big takeaway. Raleigh doesn't rely on only one industry. Tech, life sciences, healthcare, education, professional services, and the seat of state government all play a role in the stability of this triangle area. When one area slows down, others speed up and keep on moving. And that's why housing demand here doesn't just disappear when the national market cools. The jobs keep coming. That's the engine driving this region. And now let's look at what's actually happening in the housing market today, because for the first time since 2019, things have shifted in a way that creates real opportunity for home buyers. Here's a snapshot of our current real estate market. It's important for you to know what is actually happening because timing here can literally mean tens of thousands of dollars. Home prices across the Triangle are already up 40 to 70% range since 2019. And in places like Durham, that jump is closer to 58%. So yes, prices have gone up. No way about that. Raleigh is still less expensive than the cities that we're constantly compared to. So you're looking at a median home price in the low to mid 400s, and that's lower than places like Austin, Nashville, and even Charlotte. So yes, prices are up, but Raleigh still isn't the most expensive spot in the Sun Belt. Now here's what really matters. For the first time since 2019, we're in a more balanced market. For years, sellers had all the power in this market. Multiple offers, homes gone in days, sometimes hours, but that's changing. Inventory is up about 30% from last year, and homes are now sitting about 30 to 60 days depending on the area. So for buyers, this is huge. You actually have time to think about your home purchase. You're not racing against 10 other offers. You can negotiate. You can ask for repairs. If you've been waiting for things to calm down, this is the best moment I've seen in years. But here's the part most people don't see coming. This window closes fast if rates dip below 6%. When that happens, thousands of buyers jump back into the market. Builders are active too, especially in places like Holly Springs, Fuquay Varina, Apex, and Roseville. You're seeing a lot of new homes selling right now, and they're competing directly with people trying to sell their existing homes. And that tells you that demand is high in our area. This is not a market that's a falling market. And later on, I'll show you what living here actually feels like, because lifestyle is a big reason people move here, and an even bigger reason they decide to stay. Now let's think of it like this. Raleigh isn't cheap anymore, but it still makes sense because you're not paying top-tier prices for a shaky market. You're buying into a steady job growth, strong institutions, and infrastructure that supports long-term value. But here's what really decides if you win or lose here. The neighborhood. A 10-minute drive difference can mean a difference between $200,000 and swinging price. And not all of those areas are worth it, and I'm going to show you how to spot the ones that are true value. Let's talk about where people are actually buying right now, because this is where things really get interesting. In Holly Springs, prices are up about 9.3% year over year, while Apex is down slightly. Same county, about 10 minutes apart, but totally different results. And once you understand why, it can actually save you a lot of money. Here's the thing, Raleigh isn't one big market. It's a bunch of smaller ones stacked next to each other. Choosing the right spot matters more than most people actually realize. Many people relocating here ask me, what area is the best for families? I believe if you're moving here with children and schools are a must, there are 3 areas most families focus on: Cary, Apex, and North Raleigh. Let's break them down on the way people actually experience those areas. Cary is the largest suburb in Wake County with about 185,000 people. It's known for strong schools and a very diverse community. Median home prices in Cary sit around the high 500s to the mid 600s, and you're about 15 to 20 minutes from RTP. Downtown Cary has really come alive with a lot of new restaurants, shops. Everything is walkable, and city parks and green spaces abound. Apex is not far away, and it has a charming historic downtown. It's hard to find a list of the best places to live in America without Apex in that mix. Median prices are in the high 5s or low 600s, similar to Cary, but usually a little easier on the wallet depending on the neighborhood. Now, you're about 20 minutes away from RTP and 20 to 30 minutes from downtown Raleigh. You'll get excellent schools and that really small town feel without paying full Cary prices. Now let's look at North Raleigh. This is a big area just north of I-440 Beltline. Most neighborhoods were built from the 1980s through the 2000s, and it's a very family-focused area with solid schools and a wide range of prices. Median homes run from the low 400s to the millions plus, depending on where you land in North Raleigh. You're close to North Hills with great shopping and dining, and this is usually the best option if you want good schools but need to stay under 500,000. These 3 areas all work well for families, but they behave very differently when the market shifts. And that's why knowing the neighborhood matters just as much as knowing the price. Now, if you're a young professional or just love urban living, there are about 3 areas for urban living: downtown Raleigh, Glenwood South, and Warehouse District. Here's what you need to know about downtown Raleigh. This place has grown fast with condos and high-rise buildings. Walk scores here sit in the mid-80s, which means you can actually walk to work, food, and bars. Condo prices range from the low 300s to well over $1 million, depending on the building and the amenities. Most people living downtown are tech workers, medical professionals, and young professionals from every sector. They don't mind paying higher HOA fees if it means they can walk to everything. So now let's talk about Glenwood South. This is the heartbeat of Raleigh's nightlife. Everything is packed into a few blocks: bars, restaurants, and late-night music and gatherings. Condos here usually run from the mid-3s to the low 500s. This is where people live if they want nightlife right outside their door. You're giving up space for location, and HOA fees are similar to downtown, somewhere around $200 to $600 a month. Now, the Warehouse District has a different vibe. It's more raw and creative. Think old old warehouses turned into lofts and breweries and growing food scene. Prices here run from the low 300s up to around the mid 600s. This area seems to pull in creatives and young professionals who want the city feel without paying Glenwood South prices. And this part matters. Areas like this can grow faster than established neighborhoods as more development moves in. So now let me flag something that surprises a lot of first-time home buyers. Condos come with HOA fees, and those add up really quick. At $400 a month, those fees can cost almost $5,000 a year. Townhomes nearby usually have lower HOA fees, more like $100 to $400 a month. So when you're comparing payments, make sure you're looking at the full picture, not just the price of the home. Next, let me talk to you about the different types of home buyers. What if you're an area buyer seeking value and an investment play? Well, if you're chasing appreciation and you're okay with being early to an area, smart buyers are looking right now at Durham and East Raleigh. Here's why Durham is a great option. This city is anchored by Duke University and still more affordable than Raleigh. Median home prices here sit in the low to mid fours. Downtown Durham has been changing fast, and the neighborhoods near Duke are appreciating gold mines. The vibe here is more artsy and a little rough around the edges. Foodies love it here compared to Raleigh's cleaner corporate feel. That's why people love this place, especially creatives, grad students, and professionals who want culture without paying top dollar. A lot of investors here are people who remember what happened in places like Austin and Portland. They bought early, they held on, and watched their values climb as the area grew up. Now, East Raleigh is a different story. It's a very block by block. Some streets are improving fast, others will need a little bit more time. This area works if you're willing to do a little homework. I mean, drive the area at different times of day, check the recent sales, and assess which blocks are getting better. That's how you can find a spot in the low to mid 300s. Over the next 5 to 10 years, those areas will see solid growth. And this is for buyers who have patience and aren't scared to be the first nice house on the street. But if you're looking for a premium living that holds its value over time, North Hills and Chapel Hill are two great options. They both offer stability and they feel very different. And knowing which one fits your lifestyle really matters. North Hills is Raleigh's most built-up, walkable area. You've got condos, townhomes, upscale shopping, and restaurants all in one place. Prices here run from the 400s to the several millions. And people who live here are often empty nesters who want to walk everywhere without being downtown. You also find professionals who are happy to pay more for the convenience, and families who like having nice amenities right outside their doorstep. You're paying for location, walkability, and the freedom to not use your car every single day. On the other hand, Chapel Hill is a true college town, and it stays in demand because the housing supply is limited and UNC isn't going anywhere. So home prices here run above the national average, which puts it above Raleigh. People who buy here want the classic college town and feel, with less traffic, tree-lined streets, and a walkable downtown, plus a strong academic culture. And they're willing to pay more because this market stays steady year after year. So here's the thing, when you match the right neighborhood to your lifestyle, Raleigh really works. So pick the wrong neighborhood and you'll feel it every day in your commute, your resale value, and how your life flows. And speaking of lifestyle, let me show you why so many people move here and end up staying here for good, because it's not just about the job or the house. So here's what living here actually feels like. And it really depends on who you are, because Raleigh is different for different people. If you've got young kids, this is where Raleigh really starts to make sense, because you're surrounded by hundreds of miles of greenways and connected trails. Dorothea Dix Park is turning into this huge park right in downtown Raleigh, and Umstead Park is just up the road and spans over 5,400 acres of forest and trails and lakes. You also got lakes nearby for kayaking and fishing. So when people say Raleigh is family friendly, they really mean it. So if you're a young professional, the lifestyle is just easy. You're about 20 to 25 minutes from RDU Airport with direct flights to major cities and abroad. There are hundreds of breweries and wineries across the state, with dozens right here in the Triangle. The food scene has grown fast too, so when the weekend hits, you're a 2.5-hour drive away from the beach, 3 hours from the mountains, so you're not stuck doing the same thing every single weekend. So if you're coming from the Northeast or the West Coast, here's what usually surprises people. The cost of living is lower, so you get more house and less stress. And you get 4 seasons. Winters are mild, average highs are in the 50s and the low 30s in January. You might see snow once or twice a year, or not, but snow still makes us happy, not sad. So now I'll be honest with you, summers here are hot and humid. So when you're talking about upper 80s and low 90s, that's the trade-off. But you're no longer losing 8 to 13% of your paycheck to state income taxes, because North Carolina has a single flat income tax rate of 4.25, and that's real money staying in your pocket. So that's the lifestyle side of Raleigh. Now let me pull this all together and show you why this home buying window won't last forever. If you're buying a home in a steady market, it works very differently than trying to time a down market or even a boom market. Right now, Raleigh is in a really rare spot. You've got strong long-term support behind the market, and at the same time, you've got enough inventory that buyers still have room to negotiate. That combo doesn't come around here very often. So here's what I mean. Inventory is up about 30%, and you're not stuck rushing or overbidding, but all the big things that we've talked about, those aren't fully showing up in the home prices yet. They're getting approved, they're moving forward, and the market just hasn't caught up with that. And that's the opportunity. In a place like Raleigh, you don't see crazy jumps up and down. What you see is steady growth as the rest of the world catches on. So when Apple breaks ground, when biotech companies start hiring, and when those new projects open their doors, prices don't spike and fall, they move up and they stay there. So this moment isn't about rushing or panic, it's about getting positioned right now so that you're buying based on what Raleigh has been for the last 65 years. A little further down the road, buyers will be paying for what everyone clearly sees is becoming. The people who do their best here are the ones who move before the cranes go up, before the jobs hit the headlines, and before every local news story starts talking about how fast Raleigh is growing. Once that happens, the negotiating room is gone. And that's really what this window is about. You're not chasing hype, you're stepping in before the market fully prices what's already set in motion. The buyers who wait for the perfect moment usually end up paying more. What tends to work better is buying in a window like this, when the market feels balanced, there's more inventory to choose from, and before that next wave of home buyers jump back in once the rates dip. If you're ready to move before that demand surges, call me, email me, send me up a smoke signal, or just text me at marty@martyhampton.com today. Let's have a real conversation about you moving to North Carolina. And I've linked my breakdown of Raleigh's biggest mega projects. Knowing which ones will benefit which areas could save you tens of thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching. See you next time.